Some years ago, I was really lost. I didn't know where my life was going. I had the idea of flying out to Egypt to do some walking in the desert, and maybe do a bit of thinking. But any hopes I had of getting some peace of mind were completely dashed by my choice of guide, Ahmed. Ahmed was this nosy, talkative, irritating man who never stopped moaning about the trials and tribulations of being a poor desert guide. While we walked through these majestic canyons and rested in these beautiful palm tree oases and slept under the dazzling starry sky, Ahmed just couldn't shut up about, how he depended on the generosity of foreign tourists just to make ends meet. Finally, I had to say to him, as politely as I could, that perhaps guides were better seen than heard. Of course, Ahmed fell into an instant sulk, muttering under his breath and shooting me dark looks all day. But by this point, I couldn't care less. I was just so happy to finally hear myself think. So we had this great day walking, and towards the evening, we came to some caves to take shelter for the night. And while Ahmed tried to coax a fire out of some branches and leaves, I went deeper into the cave with my torch to make sure there were no wild animals. You never know. And while I didn't find any traces of wolves or bears, what I did see took my breath away. There, across the walls of the cave, were ancient paintings, probably by those who'd lived here thousands of years ago. And that would have been amazing enough in itself, but there was one other detail that made my jaw drop. The people in the paintings had tails. And not tails like a monkey or a cat might have, but big, thick, crusty, long things that they sat up on, high up in the sky, tails curled beneath them. While other people in the paintings, and these ones without tails, served them food and water on the end of long poles. I said, Ahmed, have you seen this? And Ahmed looked over from where he was blowing into the fire and said, guides should be seen, not heard. I said, yeah, but were these paintings made by people who lived here before? Did they really have tails? Now I could see Ahmed was torn between wanting to maintain his sulk on one hand and wanting to impress me with how much he knew about the area on the other. And of course, increasing his chances of a good tip. So I just fell quiet and took a seat by the fire. And sure enough, before long, he couldn't help himself. Yes, the paintings were made by those who lived here. And yes, they had tails. Not everything your scientists are knowing. The tails were like the lizard. They fell off. But not when they were running away or scared. The tails fell off when they lied or thought something dishonorable. Their tails fell off from the shame. I said, yeah, but not everyone in those paintings had tails. So who was telling this story? Yes, there came a generation of people so evil, so sinful. They could not go 5 minutes without lying or cheating or stealing. Their tails never grew at all. Next to them, those with tails felt even more virtuous, even more pure. And they started sitting up on their tails, up high. And he who sat the highest was the purest of all. But pride comes before the fall. One morning they clapped their hands for service. There was no answer. They called down for their breakfast. Nobody came. The tailless sinners had run away in the night, leaving their masters to starve. One by one they tried to get down. One by one, they fell to their death. And that is why we are descended from a race of tailless sinners. And that is why the world is in such an evil state, where even a poor desert tour guide couldn't hardly feed his family. Ahmed got his tip. He deserved it. Not that I believed a word of his story, but even if he had made the whole thing up, still I couldn't help but feel there was something true in the tale.